So the question you have told me to discuss today is a natural thing. The state's duty is to protect that. Families emanate from a natural process called seduction or seducing. Later the processes become legal. So we are starting from the point when it is natural. How then does the law recognize it? How does the law confer it legal status? How does the law split and divorce that which it has recognized? What are the consequences of that? The Constitution still proceeds further and says every adult has the right to marry a person of the opposite sex based on the free consent of the parties. Everybody has a right to marry. Is it mandatory that you must be married? Will we be arresting you shortly that you are single? Those are the answers that we need to know. It moves further and says, part 3, parties to marriage are entitled to equal rights at the time of the marriage, during the marriage, and at the dissolution of the marriage. Here comes two people who are opposite sex and are married. Then they have children. What does the law say about those children? They buy a small tuk-tuk. What does the law say on the property of this that has come out from marriage? What will the law say of that single lady who has a flat at Karen? And yours truly, Danstan Omari, confuses her and marries her. Is that house Omari's or is that house hers? So those are the questions that we shall be looking at, that the Constitution looks at. Then lastly, it says the property question, this concept of equal rights. Are we really equal in a marriage? What does the law say? That is the constitutional provision. What does the Constitution of the Church at the time of Eden? There was a constitution. The constitution called the Bible. Here comes the Lord, our Lord, the Creator. He creates a man called Adam. Later, he creates another person called who? Who was providing for the other? The man, according to the religious doctrine, was there to be the provider, the guider, the person who provides food, clothing, and everything. What is there today? We have now a new crop of women who provide for their men. If the Bible envisages such men who are parasites, called women eaters, who are depending on the hard-earned income from women. So, in summary, the laws that I want us to deal with, we want to deal with the laws that deal with marriage. Under the Marriage Act 2014, the law recognizes 5 marriages. There is the Christian marriage, which we know very well. That marriage is monogamous. No sidekick. Nobody joins in. The second marriage is a single marriage. Nobody joins in. Only the two. The third marriage is the Hindu marriage. We are not concerned about the Hindu marriage, but it is also monogamous. The fourth marriage is the Muslim marriage, a maximum of 4 wives. We are not concerned about that one. And lastly, the African Christian marriage, the African polygamous marriage, which is polygamous. The Christian SDA church marriage that you have conducted, or you conducted before you became a widow, or you conducted before, or you intend to conduct because you are single. How does that marriage work? So I've laid the basis that in that marriage, only people who are willing to marry are recognized and given a marriage certificate. Now, these two people have been married. They will have what we call children. The children are governed under the Children's Act. Under Article 53 of the Constitution, the Constitution talks about the right to protect these children. You are single, but do you have a child? So the question that is there, is this child yours to the exclusion of the one who is the cause of that child? Do we have a child who is fatherless? The Lord does not know that person. So simply, any child has a father, excluding one child called Jesus Christ. So yours has a father somewhere. You want to travel out of the country. This man has never been there for 15 years. You're the one paying fees, you're the one paying rent, you're the one doing everything. Then you walk to the immigration, you are told, get the consent of the father. That is the law. Get the consent for the visa. That is the law. So one of the issues in the children issue is that all parents who are biological of a child are equal. 2, none of the parent is superior. 3, the question about custody, we differ. I'm the father of the child. You run away to Nyavikoma and say, this is my child. I don't want to see you. The law says all of us are equal. You cannot circumcise that child without my consent. You cannot bury that child without my consent. You cannot name that child without my consent. So this child is just like a company owned by the two of you, 50-50. Maintenance is equally the same. We have ladies here who are saying, Omari is a senior lawyer. He can afford to take this child to the best school on earth. Forget about that. The law talks of equality. In Article 53, you will provide something. What does the law talk about maintain of the children? You will educate this child up to the age of 18. If this child at 18 is in Form 4, that child is going to university. The law provides that an application to extend the birth of that child is there, and you will maintain that child up to first degree only. If you have taken your child for master's degree, you will pay yourself. The law does not compel a father to maintain and educate a child or to treat a child who has finished a first degree. So those are issues about the children that will come out of a family. Now we reach a point of another law. In this marriage, there's a lot of war. Some of us are single because of the number of kicks we received, the way we were battered, the way we were molested, the way we were verbally harassed. What does the law say? The fourth law I introduced is called Protection from Domestic Violence Act, where anybody who is in a domestic relationship, whether married or come and stay, or you are a sponsor, or you are in by any definition, the protection is there. What does the protection say? One, if you have truly bought your Uber or a small car that is outside here, and today you differ, he says he wants to pick that car. The law protects that car because you are given at the right time. It cannot be taken. Men get that very clearly. Two, if you are staying in an apartment where somebody took a mortgage and that mortgage is still pending, it has not been concluded, then you are jobless. He tells you, now pack and leave. The law says he will be compelled to retain that which he had provided for livelihood. That is the Domestic Protection from Domestic Violence Act. Now we have new women who are more better than the boxers that we have in town. They can kick you very hard. They are violent, either verbally or physically. The law talks, or the men are violent, either physically or verbally. What does the law say? The law says that if you are verbal, if you are violent, you can be given what is called restraining orders. You can be restrained, one, from going to that house. You can be restrained from going to that man's office. Some of us are emotional. When we do from Omari, you come to my law firm and scream there and rest there, or your man will write 100 messages to you in a day. The law talks of restraining orders. You can be restrained from sending a message, from calling, from going to a place of work, from going to his place of work, from contacting their relatives. That is the law that we will be dealing with. How do you deal with a violent relationship? The next law that comes in, now you guys cannot stay together. Then you decide you must separate. There is the law that is called judicial separation. The law that you separate judiciously. You move to court and say, this man akilala anangorota sana. And this irritates me a lot. And therefore, I want to separate, I want to go elsewhere. Let me cool my head. You go and separate judiciously, but you still remain husband and wife. Then this becomes too much. Then you say, now let us divorce. Then there is the law for divorce. This is the law that is now the issue. Are you single by virtue of divorce? Are you single by virtue of whatever it is? One, a marriage ceremony is conducted by somebody authorized to do it. A divorce must be conducted in a court of law. There are only 4 grounds for divorce. One, adultery. But you must produce evidence of that adultery being committed live. 2, you must bring the person involved in that adultery. He must or she must be sued. And if there's evidence, it is Omari or Cyrus, he will be condemned to pay the costs. Number 2, the second ground is desertion. If somebody has disappeared for so many years without reason, and you know now this is the norm. This is the norm. We do a big wedding at Maxwell's near church. After a week, the man carries his certificates and disappears. You are alone. You will be divorced. Somebody has deserted. The lady has deserted. If it is wrong, that is the ground for divorce. Third is cruelty. Cruelty has no definition. Cruelty is what the other side feels it is cruel to them. What you are doing as a man, it is not you who decide whether it is cruel to the woman. It is the woman who say that is cruelty. What a woman is doing to you, it is not her to decide whether it is cruelty. it is the man who decides on that. A court in Eldoret last week made it very clear that failure to give a kiss in a marriage is enough ground to divorce. Justice Nyakundi, that is a divorce that was granted based on that ground. What annoys somebody is what is defined as cruelty. Refusing to respond to a text message is the ground for divorce. So it is about what the other person perceives to be cruel. And lastly, I'm moving very fast to give you time to ask questions. The last ground is the ground called irreconcilable differences. That my differences with you, we cannot reconcile. The church elders have seen them here. They have tried, they have failed. The pastor has tried, he has failed. Colleagues have tried, they have failed. Everybody has tried, they have failed. That is enough ground. So that is the next law that we shall be dealing. Now you have divorced, but you bought a tuk-tuk, you bought a boda-boda, you have a small packer. How do you deal with it? The question of division of the properties acquired during the marriage. That goes to the High Court. How do you deal with the property that was acquired in the marriage? The Constitution I've read to you says that marriage property, immediately you are married, any property acquired from the day the pastor signs your marriage certificate to the day the court nullifies the divorce, any property acquired, whether it is registered in the name of Omari, in the name of Atieno, in the name of who, that property is married property. How is it distributed? Only two principles. Show us your money input into this. Did you take a loan from a church? Sacco? Did you take a loan from a bank? Did your father give you money to bring in? Show us your money into this. Bibi, wewe leta tuonyeshe pesa uliweka hapa. Bwana, tuonyeshe uliweka pesa hapa. First principle. Second principle, show us your indirect contribution. And this is for the ladies. Indirect contribution starts from the day you are married. Omari was a useless lawyer in town until you came in and you gave me an esteem. I work with you, introduce you in forums where I'm going to give a presentation. I say, my wife, every church service, you have seen whenever anybody comes, he says, mine, yours truly is around here. That is status. Start accounting how much money that is. Number two, you go in and you become a home manager. Home manager means the house girls or house managers there, house boys are under your control. The dogs, the cats, the cows, the sweeping of the house, the cleaning of the compound, all those are monetized in a division or matrimonial division of property as contribution by a woman. Third, your contribution as a wife. From the day the act starts, that generates a child, that generates 9 months of pregnancy, that generates all the clinics, prenatal clinics, the pain of carrying that pregnancy, the maternity leave, the shape that disappeared at that time, it moves on to delivery, the pain of delivery, the pain of nurturing, the pain of taking care of that child, the pain of being in a hospital when that child becomes unwell, all this time, washing of this kid, feeding this kid, waking up at night, that is monetized. That is contribution of a wife, indirect contribution of a wife in division of matrimonial property.
The fourth contribution is the contribution of wifely duties. As a wife, some of us go to court and we defend very serious criminals. By the time we are coming at home, we are very emotional. Very emotional. Only yours truly tells you, Paul Dada, Paul Mzee, it will be okay. It will be okay. That is monetized. Because if the environment at home is toxic, the man will not be able to generate that money. That is monetized. So those are the two principles that property will be divided. So if direct contribution takes 40%, indirect contribution takes 60%, 100%, the court will say the woman gets the property 70%, the man gets the property 30%. So single ladies, don't be scared that you will lose your property and you will remain single. The property has been distributed. God forbid, yours truly dies before the divorce, the law of succession. What happens? He has died. You are there. The first issue is the question about burial. Who has the right to decide where burial is supposed to be? Two theories. One, if there is a will, somebody will have decided where to be buried. Two, those who believe in the supremacy of the constitutional provisions of culture will insist the culture determines where this person is going to be buried. Slowly by slowly, the decision from the Court of Appeal a few weeks ago, can't remember that decision, it has been now decided that the wives have a role to contribute into where that person is going to be buried. He has been buried. Your wife has been buried. The next question that is there, how do you deal with the property of a dead person under succession? Wives, you don't inherit. You only have what is called a life interest. You will continue using the property of your late husband until you die. You can only sell those properties if the children agree. So you are holding that property in trust for your children. The marriage is polygamous. What does the law say? Everybody will be treated equal. Everybody means if he had 5 wives, whether you are the first wife who came in and he contributed into the estate, and the last wife came in a week before he died, all of you are equal. The children are units. That is death without a will. It is found there. So the property in this issue is, how do you deal with your in-laws? The biggest threat for women when a man or a husband dies, when the kids are young, is to be chased. You come to court and they say you are a stranger. You are a visitor who overstayed. What do you deal with it? So have a marriage certificate. The law has provided that. That is the only time that you'll be there. Whether you have stayed with somebody for 30 years or 100 years, it does not make somebody a wife or a husband. Whether you have children with that person, whether the children are 50, it does not make you a wife. You must have a marriage certificate. Now we have dealt with the properties of succession. Lastly, let me now bring this question. How do we deal with the new concept of the Gen Z in marriage? where the biggest fear is to be married or to have somebody called a permanent responsibility. Two things. Very many have no children. You then have got to tell us how, when you die, through a will, we will take care of your property, or else that property will go to the government of Kenya. Two, the Gen Z concept of equality in a relationship has brought this question of very straightforward girls in marriage who will ask you hard questions. Originally, they were Mother Wangari in parliament. They were one or two. Today, every woman will face their man head on and ask very hard questions. There is no decision. There is no head anymore. The head, the church preaches that the man is the head of the house, is a theory on a deathbed. The reality is there. So how do we deal with this reality? The boy child has not been given the skills by the church, by us, by our parents, that they are not going to marry those yes women. They are going to marry women who will ask hard questions. And because of this, you have scared my boys. Some of us as ladies, me being the eldest girl in this compound, have never been approached by any man, and I'm around 40. I dress daily. Najipanga. Nobody sees me. Why? Because you have scared the boy child. The boy child cannot appear. Your career is superior than the career of the boy child. What is the end result? Drugs, crime, violence, and baby mamas. Are you keeping a boy who is your son, who can't face a woman? Your mother's. Is your son able to seduce a girl? Answer that question. Have you prepared that child for somebody's daughter? The answer is, the case is yours and me. The mothers-in-law, the new modern mother-in-law is a well-educated and funded person. Any communication in bed, the gadget, as the communication, the arguments are heating up, the mother is on live listening to what is going on and giving directions as the captain of the ship. Do this, do this, do this. In a minute, 2 Subarus of police are outside there with the mother-in-law, with the father-in-law. They carry their daughter and go away. The church pastors need to audit whether the church marriages we are doing, the civil marriages we are doing, are they now a talk show or are they in reality? So that is the Gen Z question. The Gen Z question is now brought into a new Gen Z family where violence is normal. When we grew up, the theory was you must beat your wife to show love. Today you try, the Subarus of DCI pick you and you go in for 7 years. It is no longer traditional. It is no longer marriage. It is a crime. When did you see there's a mission, there's a group here in church that deals with children? The mission, there's the sector for children. Are we having more children or are we having less children as they grow to be adults? Are we likely to have an inexistent family? My last talk, when I went to Japan, everybody almost is married, but none has a child. People are 90 years, 105 years, they have no children. It was a story. We have it today. Those are scaring messages, but that is the position of the law. Allow me now to be free to let you tell me why you guys invited me here. Because I have been invited here. I have pretended to know why I've been invited here. I apologize for pretending that I know exactly why you invited me here. Let us have those bold enough to ask questions. I will guide you. Don't put it as if it is you. A friend of mine has texted me this question. We will answer that question. A young lady called Vane had sent me that you guys have done questions. Those people who are scared to ask questions are already dead. I'm seeing the age group here is below 40. Bold, fearless, and they can ask. After all, what don't we know? We know very well. We know this. Let me hear the questions. What way? You have you put me a permanent prisoner here because of this? Or I can walk around? I can walk around. Fine. I could have sued you for detaining me here. All right. Let us hear those questions now. Microphone. You have not given them microphone. Oh, the first question? Yes. Yes.
Some questions have been sent.
Okay. That one is sleep.
Use it.
Okay.
Am I able now?
Yes.
There's some questions which have been sent to the forum. Let me call it that. So we'll start with the questions, and then as the questions come in, maybe more generic ones come. For example,
Let's start.
So the first question is, if a will can be contested in court, is the purpose? This is the first question. It's in two, but it is sent as one, but it has two parts. If a will can be contested in court, what is the purpose of writing a will in the first place? Also, how do you make the will more difficult to contest?
Let me answer that one. A will is written by people. It might be a forged will. So the court must be certain that will was written by that person. Two, what was the capacity of doing this will? People make wills. Sometimes you have been married, you have been living together, then all of a sudden a small woman disappears with your husband. Then the will is written under the instructions of that small girl. Then all the property is taken by that small girl. The court will nullify that will. Three, the will was written in coercion at gunpoint. Somebody was told, sign here. This property, sign here. So that is why there is no will that cannot be challenged. The will can be challenged so that justice is there. That is the reason why the will can be challenged. But if it is challenged and the will is found to be okay, that's fine. For example, your father gets mad with your mother and says, I will all this property and give it to the Kenya Wildlife Services, the national park. And that is why Article 45 now is very clear that the property of a dead person must remain within a family. You cannot decide to give charity when your children and your wife have nothing to do. So there is valid grounds to challenge will. Which will are we talking about? There is a written will and there are oral wills. An oral will, you have been called by text or by the area sub-chief that ran home, or your mother is calling you. Yeah. Come. Your father is calling you. Immediately, you take the next flight. You are there. All of you in hospital at the deathbed. Then your father tells you, mimi natembea. Pastor, niombe. Lakini sikia, ule nimempa hii, ule nimempa hii, ule nimempa hii, ule nimempa pia. Wewe nyanga ulikuwa unanisumbua. Sikupi. What does the law say on oral will? That man must die within 3 months. If he does not die within 3 months, there is no will. That is the law. 2, that will must be in the presence of 2 independent witnesses. The children who are going to benefit, the mother or the wife who is going to benefit, cannot be independent witnesses. So you know today when a dead person has called you to hospital, carry 2 independent people who will be saying, we heard him say this. But I'm not telling you, if your father gave you much property, then you decide to kill him because 3 months are ending, the idiot has refused to die. Section 96 of the law of succession says, if you kill somebody simply for the purpose of you to inherit, you will not get anything. If you kill somebody because he has taken an insurance, because you know he has given you property, or he has written a will, you will not get anything. That's the provision of the law. Thank you. Let's move to the next question.
These are 3 questions which are around. After divorce, can your ex-husband inherit your property? Second one, and this one is specific to the tribe, so it's in Nigeria. Some cultures like Kisi do not recognize divorce, yes, especially among ladies in case of death. They still want the remains for burial. What is the legal position? How can one go about this to avoid this?
If that will do with the 2, then the third one you read. The first one you raised was about
after divorce.
After divorce, fine.
And your ex-husband.
Okay. After divorce, you go to court to divide property. The property I've said will be divided between you and the woman you divorced or the husband you divorced. All of you will be entitled to that property. Get it clear. You cannot deal with the question of property of marriage until there is a divorce. There must be a divorce. Umeelewana? So the divorcee will inherit. Let me extend that question further. What about you divorced, she went, and you are dying, you are already dead? Can a divorced woman inherit the property of the man who divorced him? Yes. Section 29 of the Succession Act says those who inherit are the wives and the former wives. Wives and the former wives. So because you don't want this one to inherit, you divorce her, you marry the other one, she will inherit your property. Section 29. They are all equal. Whether she was divorced na kaenda. 2, I forgot also to bring this question in it. We marry women who have children. And you say, this is now my child. That is not your child. For the purpose of the law, when you are alive. The women who have children, make sure the man who marries you adopts that child, so that he becomes a father. The widows, that man who is yours truly now must do an adoption. Get it very clear. The day you want to travel with yours truly and the kids, this kid will be chased from getting a visa because you'll be told this is a stranger. An extended father. Also but that child that was brought in, when the father or the man who he was, wale wanaitwa baba mkate. Kijana anaambiwa ukiniita dadi na kununulia mkate. Ukiniita dadi na kununulia supu. Ukiniita, because some of us are marrying women who have kids who are in university. They know the biological father. But now the mother's moved to Omari. And for me to get loyalty, I'll be telling her now, you need a new smartphone. Call me daddy. That kid now changes and becomes yours. When death comes, that kid will inherit. That kid becomes a child of the deceased. Why? Because of dependence. The father, the dead man, provided food, provided shelter, provided school fees for that kid. You train this kid to eat bluebird. Is that bluebird now? Kuna vitu zingine hapa. My boys tell me some funny things. So, those things, it is you train this kid to eat. This kid cannot continue failing to eat the bread you train. So you eat the provision. And be very careful. Be very careful. If you are maintaining your mother-in-law, medical bills, if you are maintaining your father's medical bills, if you are taking care of your sister-in-law's medical bills and accommodation, when you die, the court will provide for them the way you used to provide for them. They are dependents as per Section 29 of the law of succession. Anybody who was a dependent of the dead person at the time he was alive, before he died, will continue being provided for. Let me move to the next question. Recognition of a divorce. Some churches, serious churches, don't recognize divorce. They will tell you that is a paperwork in Omari. Some cultures don't recognize divorce. Those are papers of court. Let me bring you to perspective. My client, one of the senior in this country, has divorced and married the same woman for 5 times. The divorce that is being conducted is a divorce that was conducted in Oasis SDA Church on the 13th of June 2020. That's the divorce that has been dissolved. That is a marriage. Another marriage, the reason is after you divorce, you become a law aspirant for a woman. A girl. A boy becomes a bachelor, available to be married. The two can again marry because they have no old marriage. That is very clear. You can again remarry. After all, it's only a dead woman who doesn't change their mind. You can still change your mind. Love, you know, there are 4 things that have no logic. Love has no logic. Politics, why I'm in this party and the other party. Why I'm an SDA, why I'm a Catholic, there's no logic. And lastly, sports. Why you scream on TV watching football, there's no logic. And the Lord knows. So you can continuously marry each other. But the question I have been asked, nobody is asking you by law to recognize it is mandatory. Once a divorce has been granted, that is not your wife. The law comes in when there is a dispute. If the woman I divorced 40 years ago comes to me because of my old belief system, which has never ended, and there is no problem, I think what me have no problem, the community has no problem, their family has no problem, that person has not been consulted, but she has been dragged into my compound. There is a implied consent. It's not this. But cultures, and that's what I'm saying, the old cultural mindset is dead. We have now a new mindset called Gen Z that is governed by the law. But the old things, and that is why many of these people who are single have lied to their parents at home that they are married. Because every time you go home, you ask, umeleta mtu? Some of you work for government, you have a government driver. So the government driver cannot enter into the house, he parks outside. Shemeji, karibu. You find your driver being dragged in, then you are telling, no, that's not driver, that's not my husband to be. The cultures are there. But below, those cultural practices have now been brought in under the Marriage Act. That is why any marriage ceremony, whether it's in Kisii, whether it's in Luo Nyanza, whether it's where, you must be given marriage certificate. Third question.
The third question, you have inadvertently answered it. We asked, what is the position of children and property inheritance affairs?
I've already dealt with that. Thank you.
So the other set of questions are 2. The first one is, my husband buys land with only his name. Am I invisible here? Now the second one is, I really, truly, completely don't believe in building a house in a marital husband village home. I prefer the city. Tradition wants a house in the village. He is not building. I want to build it, but not for him, and never in the village home. Can I go ahead and start my side project in the city? Just to get my land and continue.
Let us start with the first one. Yours truly, you are a senior employee, you work very hard, you take a loan. We discussed bed and have agreed that you need to buy land. And the man tells you, no, want to withdraw the money. You bring the whole of it in cash. The Bible, and you are told the Bible has taught you, respect the decision of your husband. You carry the money, 5 million shillings, you bring at home. Na cup, you give the husband. He takes you to Kitengela or carry here and says, this is the land that we are going to buy. You say, Nyama Anesidia's town. Serious. Among the line of those who will be going to heaven, I'll be number 2 or 3. Put your name there. Yours truly, Danstan Omari. The title deed comes out in his name. 30 million shillings. You have given 20 million shillings. No problem. Another property, same. Another property, same. But when I brought in a concept of the new men we have in town, called the women eaters, when they see the property is enough, then they ask you, of late, I don't see how you are dressing. Who are you dressing for? A new third party has been created. Imagine it. Oh, what the car broke down. Why? For example, I came in 30 minutes late. If it was a woman, she was being told, who are you stop somewhere talking? An insurance. You are kicked out. When you go, you own nothing. They don't know that. I have read it very clear. Article 45 is very, very clear. Any property acquired as the church pastor is signing and you sign, and until the divorce is signed, any of these properties, whether it is registered in the name of a woman, whether it is registered in the name of a man, those are properties for marriage. And they will be dealt with according to your contribution. So what I'm only telling ladies, stop, I at one time, I'm invited to address the Muslim people. Then they believe in carrying money with abunia to you and you pay. Today there is a person. Every woman has an investment. Why don't you send me money by person? Why must you carry the money to me? Understand that Omari is now a woman eater. So I'm looking to remove any evidence. I see in court very many women, when we are dealing with the division of matrimonial property, crying that I took this money. This is the loan I signed, 5 million shillings. Tomorrow, this man paid 15 million shillings. And the question the court asks, oh, you paid 15 million shillings. Show us the source of 15 million shillings. Because the man must show how he got the whole 15 million shillings. Oh, I do business, I sell avocados, I have an Uber, you do what? And you are told, produce everything. Let us look at KRA. Have you declared tax for that income? No. So that is the reason why. Because you are now very sharp. Yours truly, Danstan Omari, is scared of you. Yours truly, John Kinyanju, is scared. That is the reason why women who went to school suffered heavily, reading the whole night, 10 supplementaries, are working, their bosses are abusing them every day. They are being told to work on Saturday against their faith. They are going to work home late at night, and now saying enough is enough. When are you married in? The decision is yours. There's a concept in law, we say, violent sin and fit injury. If ukiingia mwenyewe kwa shimo unachimba, na unajua hiyo shimo ukichimba, hakuna vile utatoka hapa. Acha kupiga mayowe kutoka hapo ndani. Nimekwama hapa, nimeshindwa, nisaidie. Serikali isaidie. No government is going to assist you. The reason why you invited me here, you must walk out with some few legal issues so that you teach others. And I'm happy that the church now has taken this initiative to bring the law to church, so that those who come here do not only get the knowledge of the Bible, but also get the knowledge, legal, on how to live outside. Another question, if it's there. But come as mentioned, there's no problem.
There are 3 sets of questions. So the first one, the other one is, if separated from my spouse and not yet divorced, and he already has another family, am I bound by his financial decisions when he makes poor decisions?
Oh, let me tell you that. You are separated. Walking away. I come from a small village in Nyamira. Walking away to your mother's house. You are still married. Whether you stay 40, 50 years, you are still married. Walking away because you have separated in court, separation, you are still married. Until one is divorced by a court of law, you are still that married. Any property is being bought after you have run away or he has run away, those properties belong to the married. Any decision made in that marriage is a family decision, excluding criminal decisions. If you kill somebody, if you steal, you are held criminally liable alone. I know the concept. In the old common law doctrine, a wife, because most of the people are working in shifts, they could go for 10 years or 10 months before they come back. So a wife could go to a duka, a shop. This villain is called. It is called what? It is in front of water or front of. Oh, I thought it is in front of water. You can walk there and say, I'm a wife of so and so. And somebody will give you materials. That was the law that time. If a wife walked into a shop, said, I'm a wife of so and so, the shop attendant had a duty, an legal duty to give. The men who were there were not women eaters. When they come back, they pay. Today, you know very well. Very careful when I invite you for a cup of tea. Carry your money. Because I will, after the cup of tea, I'll pretend a caller's coming. Walk. It's a system. My boss is coming. You hide there. Mama, where do you put? Sisi atuju. Utalipa ile ya ule ulikuwa naye. Those are the women eaters. And we must deal with them practically. Possible. So that question is that you are still married until officially. Let's go to the next question.
Before we proceed, I've been informed that if you have any question, please write it down on a piece of paper and bring it to me.
If they can't ask,
bring it with.
You can write, but you can ask. But if you can write, just send it.
Yeah. If not valid enough, you can still stand and ask.
Very
So the other question is this. In the process of separation, in a case where there is no marriage certificate and no dowry involved, what is the process of separation in a case where there is no marriage certificate and no dowry involved? However, there are children in this union.
Let me answer this. There is a wrong notion that dowry is marriage. There's nothing. The Marriage Act 2014, it defines it as tokenisms of appreciation. So stop men telling women that, you know how much I paid for it? Unajua nililipa pesa ngapi? Acha mchezo. The reason is value cannot buy a woman. It is a token of appreciation. The rural shows, those dances that we do, those ceremonies ya kubeba masufuria, those conditions ya kujenga water tank, ya kununua V8, almost. The law does not recognize that. I have put it very clear. In 3 marriages, the Christian marriage, the Muslim marriage, and the Hindu marriage, a marriage is defined in this simple term. 1, an adult woman and an adult man. They apply. Once they apply, that application, either to church or to the civil, to the Attorney General's office, is processed and a notice is issued. Marry and so are getting married. Raise objection. Those objections, after they are done, the law is simple. If there is an objection for church, the church pastor is mandated within 7 days to deal with that dispute. Within 7 days. If the dispute escalates, you go to court and the court will decide that decision within 14 days. The court, the law now has made it a criminal offense. We are here, the bridegroom is there, the bride is here. All of a sudden, a woman walks in here or a man walks in here saying, "This is my wife, this is my husband." You will go in for 10 years. If you have a dispute, there is a mechanism provided by law to deal with stopping marriage. Therefore, if that marriage is approved for being conducted, you will have to bring the 2 people, one married, the one being married. 2, they must be present. It can never be by proxy. 3rd, the place where the marriage must be conducted must be a gazetted place. You don't just walk here to a bar next door there and you do a marriage there. That is not a marriage. But if you want to do it elsewhere, you get a license, you pay to the Attorney General a certain amount for your marriage to be conducted outside the church. Okay, the church, as the church is being done, I've said the 2 people married, then the person who is conducting the marriage, is he licensed? The license of your pastor to conduct a marriage is not issued by the SDA church. You have never known. It is issued by the Attorney General. The marriage certificate that you sign in this church is issued by the Attorney General. It is a government of Kenya document. Then there must be 2 witnesses to sign. That is what is called a marriage. Then there are vows that are statutory to read. Those vows are by law, they must be read. Nobody can read for you. Then you are married. After that, the convoy of 1 million black Land Rover discovered is immaterial. The reception is immaterial. The marriage ends within 2 to 3 minutes. That is what is called a marriage. All these other things don't matter. So what I've said, you cannot say I'm married unless you have a marriage certificate. Now let me ask, are your parents still married? If they don't have a marriage certificate, they are single. And it's good I've come here. Under Marriage Act 2014, before 2014, there was no marriage certificate for African customary law. Those who are married kienyeji. 2014, the law now gave 18 months. Those ones who have not, who did a traditional marriage, to go and register and get a marriage certificate. 18 months ended from 2014 when? There was a petition, it was extended for another 6 months. So from 2017, anybody who has no marriage certificate. And you are going to face those challenges. You are going to face those challenges because all government documents, the SHA and the what, I'm not advocating for anything, they have now started asking, give us a copy of your marriage certificate. Is a marriage affidavit a marriage certificate? They will tell you have a marriage certificate. An affidavit, that is a hotel. Marriage affidavits are not marriage documents. Only the marriage certificate issued from the Attorney General's office makes one married. Thank you. Specific.
Final one on this list. How do you co-parent with a narcissistic ex-husband?
With
a narcissistic ex-husband?
Yes.
When he is constantly being verbally aggressive and insulting.
There is a husband. Does a husband have a child? Can a husband have a child? No. A husband can only have a girlfriend or a wife. It is a father who gives birth to a child. Where? It is a father. It is not a wife who gives birth. It is a mother who gives birth. Children are children of parents. Have you ever had a child of a husband or a child of a wife? They're not there. The day you give birth, you become a parent. Your nonsense about narcissism, your nonsense about the noise you make as a wife, or the drinking you do as a husband has nothing to do with your child. Whether you are chaotic as what, you still remain a father. So, what does the law say? That father who somebody is calling a narcissist, was he a narcissist at the time of conception? Was she chaotic and a very dangerous emotional woman at the time of conception? Why do you bring these issues now? The law of the children, Article 53, looks at the Children's Act, asks this question: did you consult this child? Who should be the father? If you chose an idiot, you live with that idiot. That is the law. Look at this way. Many of you are children of your father, are children of your mother, because you have only one father and one, but you can have 20 wives, you can have 30 husbands. That is why the law of the child is very critical. It protects this child. That child has a right to live with both parents. We do quite a number of these cases where the woman is saying, me, I want him to provide for this child. but I don't want him to see this child. Because he can sexually molest this child. He can kill this child. His new girlfriend, who is the new, after you have been divorced, a new woman comes into the market. Then the pleadings in court say, that woman looks at my child. No, a woman cannot take care of another woman. What does the law say? Too bad for ladies. Too bad for ladies. Issue of custody. It has moved from originally the law as it was that you can get custody just because you are a mother. The law now is, what is the best interest of that child? Who is the best between the two? We have women, we are mothers, not women. We are mothers who have been declared unfit to be mothers. You know them. They are there. They are within us. There are fathers who have proved to be better fathers than the mother. Custody will be given to that father. There are fathers who will cook for their kids. There are fathers who will take care of their kids while the woman is busy drinking and going all over. She'll come to see her 2-year-old kid who has not been breastfed after a week. And she's in the bars around it. So the law is that simple. Who is the best? What is the best interest of the child? 2, in questions of custody, the mother, there is a universal definition of who is a mother. If that mother proves that she's universally a mother, she'll get custody. But the father must get access. Whether he has married or he has not married. The person the court looks at is that the day you will die, you have excluded the biological father. The day you die, that child will go to the biological father. Your sisters, your mother, your aunties, and we are fought, they fight in court. No. Our son-in-law is an idiot. He can't be given this child. Please, and we are told, take care of your child. Who is the mother of this child? But this one, ana baba yake. So it is very painful, very painful. I'm trying to tell my good sisters, you chose the idiot. He becomes a father. Proceed. Proceed.
What documents are required when giving notice of an intended marriage?
The notices are given by the church. The notices are prescribed forms in the custody of the church. Yours is to inform the church. It has its own system. If it's the church clerk, if it is by written, you write that I'm going to have an interest to do this. That is an administrative line of each church. The government has a prescribed format. If you go to the website, it has a prescribed format. So you will get those forms there. It is not you to give the notice. The one conducting the marriage, that's the church, the attorney general, the mosque, the temple are the ones who put the notice. If the notices are supposed to be placed in a notice board, that is the law. Let me bring out this question. You have raised me this, I've forgotten. Almost, I've seen quite a number of people having cars here. Me, I didn't come with one. How do I know the owner of this car? KDU 441T. How will we know the owner of this car? No. Not who is driving. Not the one driving. You do what? You do a search. Where? At the NTSA. Are you aware
the Attorney General's office, all marriages done in this country, you do a search. You log in, Omari has told you, good vibes, nice vibes. As he's telling you, just log in to the website of the Attorney General. You will confirm whether I'm divorced, whether I'm married, who I'm married to, when I married. The search of marriages is available. Even the church here, the pastor does not need to ask you a lot of stories. The pastor logs in, you give your name and ID, he checks there. So we have now a database of all marriages. My sisters here want to marry a Muzungu. Oh my God, the Wazungus are good, they have money. There is what is called a certificate of no impediment. If he's a Muzungu, he must get a search from his country showing he is not married. And the church here must get that certificate of no impediment for it to conduct a marriage. You, if you are marrying, you are going to America, you are going to China, and you want to marry there, you'll be told, get a certificate of no impediment from Kenya Attorney General, the Registrar of Marriages, to say that you have never been married. So stop these things that I was conned, I was cheated, I found myself married with a crook who has 10 wives. I have today taught you where to do a search, the way you do a search on land, the way you do a search on a car, you do that search at the Registrar of Marriages. Proceed.
How long is a marriage notice valid under Kenyan law?
21 days. The bans, they are called, in charge, they are called bans. In marriage registrar, they are called notices. 21, a minimum of 21 days.
What steps must be followed to register a civil marriage in Kenya?
A civil marriage, as I've said, you get online. Sorry, there is no any more physical marriages at the registrar of marriages. You log in, you type, you apply online, notices are issued, you send your photos. Nowadays, marriages are not conducted by people unknown. You must send your photos, passports, and they are there. The notices are put, you are given a date when your marriage will be conducted virtually, you sign virtually, so the procedures are digital. I hope I've answered that question. The provisions are there. The timelines are there. Have we exhausted? One.
What happens to a biological father whose name is not in the birth certificate once the child gets to 18? And there is a rider here. Throughout the child's life, he, the father, has never provided.
Very well. Anybody with a birth certificate around here? If you read the birth certificate, it is very clear. The birth certificate does not say its purpose is to declare that a child was born. The child has been born. Whether he's an American citizen, he'll get a Kenyan citizen. That is the essence of a birth certificate. Two, the information in the birth certificate is given by the mother. But if you look at the form there, the form to declare who is the father, it is very clear that if not married, don't mention the name of the father. That application form makes it very clear. But the question is, you are being asked, at this time you have given birth, you are in such a pain. And the question is, how does the mother get a scientific certainty who is the father? How? The process of, from the process of ovulation, the process of conception, and the process takes time. The law envisages that one can be involved in multiple sexual partners within that duration. So when you give that burden to a person, science went ahead and provided for what is called a DNA test. That is why most of the birth certificates, when you go to the US, they tell you, yeah, you have given us the birth certificate, but we will put DNA testing for these children. People disappear. You have had stories of children being changed in hospitals. Those are uncertainties. So the law is as it is. The only conclusive scientific determination of who is the father. The mother is rarely disputable, but chances are is through a DNA test. I'll give a very good example of a matter I had in the High Court, but I'll not disclose the parties. This is a child where the father, there were 4 children. Out of gossip, this is written as a what? The father was convinced that the wife is moving out. He chased the wife. He refused to pay school fees. He argued that let us go for DNA testing. One girl was in Form 4 at Alliance Girls. The second daughter was in Form 3 at State House Girls. The third boy was in Starehe, because they were twins. And the last boy, I can't remember the prestigious primary school. The DNA was ordered. The results came. And the order is, the results are normally transmitted from the laboratory to court. So the judge calls that we must go to his chambers at 8 in the morning. Only advocates without our clients. So the judge, learned judge, very senior judge, tells us now, asks me, how many children you have as a father yourself? The other advocate. So the advocate who came was a young advocate, a Gen Z. He was told, go and tell your employer, the senior advocate, to come. I want to see the senior advocate. The meeting was rescheduled to the next day. So the senior advocates were there. The judge gives us tea and asks how many children we have, how many grandchildren we have. Then he asks us one question. Those children of yours, who do they know who is their father? Tell them, yours truly Omari. Suppose now we tell them, you are not his father. The answer is obvious. The boys will kill people, or the girls will kill people. The same to the other hand. So now we were given the results. All the 4 children were not children of the mother, neither were they children of the father. So now we are told, those who are strong enough to tell your clients, none of them. We took an oath and we agreed with these children These are their parents. The matter was coming at 2 for the ruling. So the judge read that the results are positive. These are your children, all of you. Take care. I told you Section 4 of the Children's Act. I told you Article 53 of the Children's Act. What is the best interest of these children? Definitely. The 2 girls should have committed suicide. How do you tell them that this is not their mother? How? That woman, how do you tell her that her children were either being stolen every time she went to deliver? That is how issues family are dealt with. First, as a practitioner, as a church elder, as a pastor, as a lawyer, as a church goer today, my appeal is that family matters are very sensitive. The law bends to understand the complexity of the matter, and sometimes family matters are resolved with time. They are normally given time, so that if you look at the number of divorce cases filed in a year and those that are withdrawn in the spur of annoyance, somebody files a divorce. Mimi nimeleta nyama mumekula, hamukunibakishia, file a divorce. They happen. So my appeal to you, members of the Oasis SDA Church, is that family matters have no one solution. Family matters are complex. 90% are not rational. Family issues have 90% emotions in them. And that is why Article 159 of the Constitution has provided for alternative dispute resolution mechanisms. And among the first is the church. Have you gone to the church? The courts are very clear. This is a family dispute. Have you talked to your pastors? Have you resolved your matters with your church members? Courts rarely want to interfere with family matters unless it is clear that a life can be lost, a limb can be lost. This is a matter beyond family setup. This is a matter beyond the church setup. This is a matter beyond professional and the women chama groups. This is a matter that really demands action of the court. We have any other? Yes, sir.
My question is, maybe, I don't know how to phrase it, but my first question is, what if maybe it's a lady being married in an outside country? Does the laws still apply? Or it's a man, maybe if I marry a Ugandan or a Tanzanian, will the laws still apply?
Yes.
Okay.
The impediment law, you know, for example, why the impediment law is very clear. Once you get a green card to the US, you have a right to take your wife. You're still a bachelor. Then they tell you that is your younger sister. A marriage is contracted between you and your sister, biological sister, simply for the purpose of traveling to the US. Immediately you reach US, you file a divorce. Because you can't marry your wife, your sister. Then your sister marries a man of her choice, you marry a woman of your choice. So that is why the international law is, the day you left Kenya, give us a certificate that there was no impediment. So it applies.
Thank you. My second question is, in cases of co-parenting, there is an instance where maybe you are told per month, as a man, you should contribute this amount of money. What criteria do they use to say that you should be giving maybe the lady 100,000, 50,000, 20,000? Assuming you're not a civil servant, maybe you are not in KRA, maybe you do your own business, but then what criteria is really used to say that in a month you should be giving this lady this amount of money for the child support?
Thank you very much. This is the argument that we normally see in court every day. And they are passionate, heavily passionate. The law is simple. One, you will file what is called an affidavit of means to court. You will attach your payslip. You will show how much you earn. You will show how much you make from your businesses. You will show all your revenue that you have, and you will also show the mother. The mother will also file the affidavit showing how much she earns and how much you earn. That is one record. Men don't tell the wives some of the businesses they are doing outside. So the wife doesn't know. So the man, if you look, for example, I'll give you a very good example. I sued a member of parliament. Out of our salary, of the total plus all their benefits and what's coming to around 2.2 million, he only gets 5,000 shillings per month. That is a payslip that came to court. And he said he must live, he must pay rent, he must eat and educate his other children with that 5,000 shillings. The wife, and they are here, most of them, their payslips other than statutory deductions, the whole money is there. They are not adventurous by nature. The only deduction you'll see is a circle deduction. You'll never see these sijui fuliza, sijui nini, all those things in a payslip of a woman. So the woman's net salary was 185,000. So the man is saying, look, this woman has a 185, I have 5,000. What does the law say? The law now looks at the lifestyle of this minor. You said you are paid, you earn 5,000. Yes. Where was this kid born? Nairobi Hospital. Who signed? The father. Who paid? The father. Let us look at the lifestyle audit of this kid. How many times does this kid go to Dubai? Does it holiday all over with the dad and mom? The photos are there. The school this kid has been enrolled. How much is school fees? 300,000 per month or per term. So the question the court has, 5,000 shillings cannot be the source of money. Then the court goes further and makes an order that you continue doing what you used to do to this child with the possibility of improving it by 15% every year. Because the question is,
If this child, you didn't differ with the mother, you could continue paying without the pay. Now you are arguing, me at 5,000 shillings, remove this child from this school to a public school. The question the courts will ask, who took that child there? What has changed? So the law is that the best interest of a minor supersedes the wars between a husband and a wife. Have I answered you? Thank you. Yes, sir.
I've just received this text from my friend.
That is me. Tell them it's me who sent it. Yes.
We've dealt a lot about these other properties, but what about these other properties that people invest in? For example, shares and bonds, and the next of kin is always written maybe to the sister or to the mother. And how will my friend say that they've contributed, yet they have no idea that it even exists? And number two, with all these property hullabaloo that's happening, do prenups exist in Kenya?
Now, that's a very, very critical question. Issues of unknown assets. It was a preserve of men to invest without their wives knowing. Today, the wives have become more better than the men. They have also their properties unknown to you. The risks, I want to give you the risks. Many of those properties disappear when one dies accidentally. The lawyers who have drafted those agreements walk in and take those properties because it is only the lawyer who knows. So don't worry when you see us very rich. We might have stolen from the dead. Two, there are properties not defined as properties of matrimonial nature. For example, the SACCO shares under the SACCO Act, you nominate the next of kin. You nominate the next of kin. A few of them, we have gone to court and argued whether that law, this man has died, he had nominated his mother as the next of kin. The mother, as the mother-in-law, chases the daughter-in-law, anaambiwa rusha mawe, rusha mchanga. All of us know that. After burial, especially the young widows, they are chased. They are chased with children who are not going to school. The same mother who chased because she knew she's the next of kin at the SACCO. The SACCO gives ×3 or ×2. There are last expenses, insurance and what. So courts have intervened and said, if evidence is proof that the next of kin are the children and they are going to serve, the children's court will order the SACCO to release that money to the children. That is the power. The children court is superior than any other court. On a matter of a child, any law is inferior. That is Article 53 of the Constitution. The children must be protected. And the person who hid the money there was not hiding the money away from his children. He was hiding that money away from the monster called a husband or a monster called a wife. Are we together? Then we have raised the question about prenuptial agreements. In Kenya right now, there is no law that recognizes prenuptial agreements. They are illegal. Prenuptial agreements are, she has her properties before she marries me. When I marry her, she has a house, she has a car. Will this property be ours
the law does not recognize this property to be ours. She will deal with her property the way she wants. There's a bill in Parliament now. If it passes, then now the prenuptial agreement will become part of the law. You can sit and say, me, my property, this one, if I die, it goes this way. If you don't, it will go this way. For now, there is no law to that effect. But the question that is there, what question that is there? Because I did one matter which was very, very serious. A church wedding was done, and the father to the lady gave them a fantastic bed. A fantastic bed. I think it was around 2 million shillings a bed. And within a very short time, when they started differing, she could tell the husband, well, lala, unajua kitanda iligharimu baba yangu pesa ngapi? The woman went to work. The man removed the bed, put it outside there. He brought his in-bow bed. Mwambia sasa, now I have provided a bed. Divorce. So those are the issues. Prenuptial agreements, to me, I agree. Women today, men today are getting into marriage at 40, 50 years. They have a lot of property. How do they do it? And the duration of that marriage, the lifespan now of that marriage is 2 to 3 years before a divorce comes in, or a separation comes in. How do we deal with that? The law is in Parliament. Once it passes, quoted copy. These guys, I do no more program. They will tell you what the law says. Thank you. There's a lady. Yes, my good sister.
I think my question was, that woman is gone. It was on child support. So does that also apply to women? Is that, in Kenya?
Women support. Very serious topic. When you divorce, when you file for divorce, within the divorce, there is always an application for maintaining a spouse, not a woman, a spouse. The law is called it's called alimony. A party that was being supported by the other. Wewe mama rafiki yangu, you have money. Warriors, you've told Omari there's no need to go to court and battle with cases, madness, waking up in the morning, being at the police station. Stay here. I have the money. I resign. I have a house that carry my stipend every day, 200,000 shillings by M-Pesa. You are feeding me either as a man or as a woman. The day the divorce is filed, whoever was being maintained will ask that the husband or the woman continue like the children's case. And the court will ask you, you have been giving this man 200,000 shillings every week. You will continue giving him until he stabilizes. You have been feeding this woman. You will continue feeding her until she stabilizes. But the maximum is for 5 years. So that that person can start a lifestyle without the one who was provided. So the law is there for provision of in a marriage for those who were. And many of the men file a divorce. Amefukuza bibi, anaambiwa basi sawa, hakuna shida, ile nyumba yako ya Runda at a market value, what is the rent? 200,000 shillings, okay? Her clothing, because you provide for things: clothing, medication, food, and shelter. For both the husband or the man, whoever was being supported. The law has changed, and that is what I'm saying. The law has changed
it is now both a man and a woman. You cannot argue that me, I'm a woman, and you're earning. There's a case the other day, it was in the media. A permanent secretary, a PS, Muliona Committee, has gone to court seeking the maintenance of a child from a father who is a border rider. And the court simply asked one question: how much do you make as a border rider? 200 shillings. She will pay. If you want money, you will be paid 5 shillings per month. Ability is very critical. And that is why they ask, okay, show us how it has been. I did one case of a governor. I did a case of a governor in a children's matter. There were 2 women. In the first case, this woman was given a monthly maintenance because they calculated what it was going, excluding school fees and school-related expenses. The woman was entitled to 630,000 shillings. That is what she used to get. I did another matter of a very senior old cabinet where somebody was super rich and she was entitled to 1.3 million shillings per month. That is what the husband used to give. In that matter, another woman went to court suing the same governor, and she had never been given even a coin. She could not prove. She could not prove. And the argument was, yes, I have never been given anything. But this is a child of a governor. What is the lifestyle condition of a child of a governor? The governor must come and see this child. He comes with a motorcade of 10 vehicles. Where will he park? At Kayole. And the court used the standard of the other and said, you cannot discriminate your children. This is your child, that is your child. They need to have equality. So the law looks at a lot of the practical issues in life. Remember, in a child maintenance matter, the man and the woman don't see each other. But the child doesn't care about those things. And that's why sometimes mothers are, you ask, where is daddy? You say daddy died, he was a truck driver going to Congo, he died. And he said, but I've seen that man who is on TV, that Wakili looks like my face, and people are telling me that is your dad. Are you getting those issues? Thank you. Any other?
There is one more here.
Yes.
My boyfriend got a green card and we registered a marriage at the age. He left and we hoped I would join him, but it has been 10 years since. And I got to know he's now married. What do I do now that there is someone else who wants to marry me?
Hi. Mambo ndio. That lady is unfortunate. Let us say it's unfortunate that that has happened. But it is a practical reality. It is a practical reality that women have been told to marry. And they marry with a clear mandate and a clear expectation that one, I am being married, my guy is gone and is coming back. So simple. That is a marriage for convenience. The condition for him to get
either green card was for him to show that he had married. So she was duped into this, and the marriage was done. 2, she says this person has married. What I don't know is whether he has married in where he went to that country. Because if he went to that country, a certificate of no impediment was supposed to come from Kenya. But that certificate of no impediment was not enforceable 10 years ago. These are things that have come now in 2014 to deal with such issues. 2, what are the options? She cannot marry until she divorces. She'll give you a contract. My law firm will represent her for free. Amen. To do 2 things. I don't know whether that marriage was consummated. If the marriage was not consummated, there is a provision for annulment of a marriage. But annulment must be done within a year. So she'll have to file a divorce with a ground of desertion, and it will take around 3 weeks to 1 month. She will be divorced. She will get, yours truly, I hope, is not another chameleon. I hope the next one will not take that one. One saying that I did one matter where somebody introduced himself as the President of the Republic of Kenya. Either sheepishly, either foolishly, that is with his own wow. He really believes this is the President of the Republic of Kenya. Those were papers that were filed in court. So they wanted to sue him for having impersonated a certain person, and that impersonation is what made the consent come from the lady. What does the law say? Section 171 of the Criminal Procedure Code. If you conduct a marriage and you do another one, is a criminal offense called bigamy, and you'll be jailed for 5 years. If you do a second marriage, it is criminal. And the second marriage is null and void. But if you undergo that ceremony, 5 years that you'll be there. In the Sexual Offences Act, before it was repealed, there was a proposal that if somebody makes a woman have a legitimate expectancy that she's going to be married, then she's done. It forms an offense. Parliament, in its own wisdom, or not in wisdom, rejects that. So what does that mean? For lawyers, all of you are, most of you have bought land. You are going to buy land. You are required to do due diligence before you buy anything. I'm addressing SDA members of Versus Church. When you buy a car, you do due diligence. You check whether the bonnet is an engine inside. It might be a bonnet, there's no engine. You check whether the tires are there. You check from the NTSA whether this person is the owner. Who said the husband or who said the wife is not also to be exposed to due diligence? Who? It is your duty to do due diligence of your partner or intended partner. Stop telling the pastor love is blind. Love comes after due diligence. If I'm walking telling you, I'm the commander-in-chief, the armed forces of the Republic of Kenya, and you know he's only one, then you fall into that trap of saying, volenti non fit injuria. Ukichimbia shimo, ukilia, watu wanakwambia pole, move on. Tell my good sister we'll assist her with that. Purely courtesy of Oasis Church. Amen. So that she moves on, because life must be lived. Yes. Life can't be stationed.
There's another one here. If my wife or husband attempts to kill me and I have a legally owned firearm, may I lawfully use that firearm to defend myself? Yes. May I use that firearm may I lawfully use that firearm to defend my life under Kenyan?
Thank you. Before I talk to that case, let me deal with the Firearm Licensing Act. This is an act of law that deals with guns in private hands. Not police, not army, not government hands. If you want to have a gun, you go to your nearest OCD, you apply to have a private gun. You give reasons as to why you want to have a private gun. If the reason is justifiable, they will go to your place where you stay, show whether you have made provisions where the gun will be kept. Your application will be sent to other relevant arms of government, one being the NIS, to evaluate your temperament. Some of you, or some of us, a woman cannot abuse us. I've heard such people say, mimi mtu aziniletea na nina bunduki, maliza. So they check, they verify, they check your criminal record. If they are satisfied, then you are recommended to get a gun. You go training, you buy that gun, you are a registered dealer, you are a licensed firearm, private licensed firearm holder. There are provisions and rules on using that gun. One, if your marriage is toxic, then you know you are likely to use that gun. If she's listening and it is live on helicopter, tell her to listen. My advice is surrender that gun now to the nearest police station. 2, you use it in self-defense. A gun, using it is shooting either somebody dead or somebody fatally or grievously injured. You will now have to be arrested. Any murder, any gunshot, the law is clear. Whether you are a firearm licensed person, once you have used that gun, you must be arrested. Investigations are done whether you use that gun in self-defense and your life was in danger and there was no option to shoot the leg, to shoot the arm. So it is such a serious issue. But because she's an SDA follower, if she was in another church, I'd have told her, shoot, so that tomorrow she's arrested, I represent her and I'm paying. But because she's an SDA follower, Let her not use the gun. Let her vacate, return the gun, move out, and either divorce or reconcile. Why I've raised this issue, out of the murder cases in a year in this republic, they do around 2,000 people murdered annually. Over 80% are domestic related violence. Domestic related violence. Business and others and politics are few. People killing each other because of love is massive. People maiming each other in the name of love are massive. My advice to Oasis Church, SDA Church followers, if it cannot work legally, end it. Return it, as I've said again, if it starts to work. At the heat of annoyance, those who have done criminal law will tell you, you get your eyes covered by blood. You didn't know what I did. You work after the fact. Then that's why people say, gosh, you bring, I didn't expect this. So, notices have been given. Warnings have been given. Violence is there. You are being abused. You are there. You are a human being. You will reach a point of no return. And once anybody reaches that, the point of snapping, the consequences are heavy. Many of the women who are in prison, many of the women who are in Kenyan prison, due to the offense of murder, the weapon of murder is a knife, a kitchen knife. The man walked in, started beating this woman. She's running all over, hiding where she is. She has gone to the kitchen, hid at the jiko. The man is following. She gets a knife to save her life. That is why you get very few of them having used a panga or a gun. They were trying to save themselves. So the question is, it has been there for 10 years. When will that time, when is the opportune time when you are going to use a knife to kill somebody instead of saying, let me move out? Yes, coming close here so that the closing ceremony can be conducted from where it started. Yes, my good sister.
So, if you're not legally married to someone, can you file for child support?
Yes. I have seen a child is not a child of the man you are together. You are not filing as a woman, you are filing as a mother. And actually, child support cases are not filed by mothers. They are filed because a child is a minor. Under the law, a child who is 18, below 18, cannot go to court and sue. So in the pleadings, in the papers, we write Mary Nyambura suing as next of best friend of the minor. You are talking on behalf of the minor. And the court is very clear. Always the court tells you, it is your child who has sued you. The court is no woman in court. It is a child against the father. It has never been about the mother. It is a child against the father. It is a child asking daddy, what? Ile maziwa ulikuwa unaninunulia. Mbona leo unaninunulia? Ile mkate. Are you getting the point? That is the concept of the Children's Act. The Children's Law. Briefly, a few of you saw some children who misbehaved with our national flag. The maximum, those children cannot be jailed. The law now, we don't jail children. They can only be taken to a bostable institution. That's what I jail. If it was an adult, the maximum, that adult who did that flag is 5,000 shillings. Can you imagine? That is the law. The national emblem and national flag, the punishment is 6 months or a fine of 5,000 shillings. That is your law. That is our law. Yes. Any other? Yes, boss.
Thank you so much. I think we're learning so much. I appreciate it. You've spoken about property. I don't know whether the assumption is if it's personal name. What if in the instance it's under company? Is there a difference?
Businesses registered in companies are dealt with under the company law. But if the shareholding of the company is you and yours truly your wife, that's a matrimonial company. That's the matrimonial company. But if it is a business, if it is a company, it is governed by the articles and memorandums of that company. Who still wants to sue me on Monday that I have not answered your question? Yes, I have seen that. Give him a madam. Mike, please. I might be sued that I came here and I discriminated people.
My question is, it's a difficult one because this is a relative of mine.
Don't mention his name.
I'm not going to mention the name. She's now like 70 years. She adopted a kid because she was not able to get one many years back. Now the kid has grown, is of age, is married, but his son against her is very violent. Somehow, as he was growing up, he even got to know where, he came from.
Understand?
Yes, so he's very abusive, and everyone is now advising this relative of mine to go away with this kid, and because the kid is very, very abusive. He even tells her that he wants her to die, so that it's like your time is up, Yeah, all kind of insults. So the rest of the family is advising this relative to go away with the kid. What is your advice?
Thank you. That is not a new issue. It is an issue that has gone to court, up to the Court of Appeal, and a decision has been done. Let me lay the basis of the law of adoption so that people will understand what adoption means. I talked briefly, but let me put it very clear. A child who is going to be adopted must be a child who is 66 weeks old and above. That child, 6 weeks, to qualify, for a child to qualify to be adopted, that child must be 6 weeks old. That child must be declared free for adoption by an adoption society. Currently, we have the government facility called Child Welfare Society. That child must be declared by that society. How does the child welfare and other societies do that? they check the circumstances of this child. This child was born, thrown at the parking of the church. They know the old people of Oasis Church love life. Oh, the angel of God. Oh, let me take it. The pastor says, no, this child must be called Oasis SDA. It is our child. This is a gift. That child must be taken to the police. The police enters a record of the circumstances how that child was found. An investigation file is open. The police will call the director of children's services. They are called children officers. The children officers will take this child to court and say, this child was found at Oasis Church. We don't know who is the owner, but the pastor or there are ladies here who are saying, no, let me take care of this child. Let me take care of this child. The court will commit that child, one, either to a children's home, awaiting the investigation of the police. Two, the court can give that lady, that pastor, that Oasis member of church, that kid under an arrangement called foster care, pending investigations of the police. The police will investigate, they will investigate and find out that child belongs to a certain person who abandoned this child. They arrest. Charge that person. Then this person says, even if I've been arrested and jailed, that kid, I was raped. That's why I abandoned that kid. And I will never see that kid. If you give me back that kid, I kill the kid. Because I know this kid can grow to be the leader of the SDA church. That's why I took the kid to the church. So the kid cannot be reunited with the mother. So this kid now can now be started to be processed for adoption. The process goes on, the police clear, then the Child Welfare Society says this kid is available for adoption. The two people, the person who is coming to adopt, one, get these conditions. Whoever wants to adopt must be 21 years older than the child. Why? So that by the time this child is a girl is 18 years, you want to make her your wife, you will be how many years? That is the law. Two, the person who wants to adopt must get a letter from his or her church or religious head. Pastors are very critical there. They know you. So they will, that the letter is required from Oasis Church. Third, you must show that you are able to support this child until university. You are not going to take this child, you don't have even a bed. You don't have food. Already the child was thrown to die. So you must show ability to take care. You must also show you have no criminal record. So there's a lot of investigations done. Then you people, once you have been approved to start the process, are given this child. You must go with this child in your house for a duration not less than 3 consecutive months, staying with this child. The director of children's services will send a children officer to come and sleep in your house. C, the Child Welfare Association will send a social worker to see the chemistry between the people who want this child and the child. Chemistry. What do I mean by chemistry? Have you gone missing from your daughter for 1 week because of work? Then you knock the door. You see how they run. Oh, mommy, mommy, mommy. That is the chemistry. If you walk in and you see them run, you start knowing. Kameuman. So that chemistry, if it is not there between the child and these people, you will not be allowed to adopt this child. That is why you are told, stay with this child as if it's your child for 3 consecutive months, and you sleep, eat, walk together. Once you have passed that test, then you are now allowed to start the process of going to adopt. You now make the papers to court. You go to court. There are 2 processes. You go to the High Court. The High Court orders a report, another investigation to be done by the Director of Children's Services. You did a report at the Child Welfare Association. You do another report by the Director of Children's Services. That report also assesses all these things. If you come to the High Court, you get an order for adoption. You might not have slept. You might have slept and you have not heard this, but listen to this one. What is the effect of an adoption order? Children are born in maternity wards. True. The court becomes a maternity ward. We remove the maternity ward from the hospital, it comes to court. The midwife who gives birth to this child is called a judge. So the judge midwives the birth of a child. That child being born at Nairobi Hospital, at Aga Khan Hospital, at Meru Hospital. That child, when it grows and it starts stealing from their mother, it starts abusing their mother. You take that child back to Aga Khan Hospital and tell the hospital, you chukua mtoto. Has any parent taken back the child to the hospital? You can't. The effect of an adoption order is that you are now the biological mother. You are now the biological father. Anybody who was the biological father has died by the court process. Anybody who was the biological mother is no longer there. The new child has a new father and a new mother. You cannot take that child to a supermarket, waterfront or front water, and say, I return your sufuria nilinunua, maji nikiweka unga inapotea. So tell your relatives, it is permanent until the child dies, until the mother dies, and still whether the mother dies, the child will continue being called her name. Under the act, a birth certificate. Previously, those children used to be given what is called an adoption certificate. So, and it was a case I was involved. It was a very bad matter. A parent, kids are going to school. Is there a requirement for birth certificate? Yes. All parents, 300 of them, are carrying that birth certificate is maroon or what? It is reddish or maroon. But in between there's a woman carrying something white. Another one. People ask, no, excuse, we were told to come with a birth certificate. Ona hii mgoro, soma vizuri, it is a birth certificate. Went to court. The child was admitted, but every child was being in school as they are playing, and they are, oh, when you ulinunuliwa, you don't have a birth certificate. It was a serious matter before a judge, and the judge ordered that any child adopted will be given a birth certificate like any other child, to avoid any stigma or any discrimination. That child becomes yours. That child will inherit your property as an equal child with your children. That child, for example, and I want to hit this, when you are going to adopt a child, a good young ladies who are seen said there's a big appetite for those foreigners. They want to adopt your child. In adoption, where a foreigner is involved, the country where that husband of yours is coming, the Attorney General there must write to the Kenyan court an undertaking that they will, once that kid, they have accepted that Kenyan child of Mary to be adopted, and once that child reaches America, American government will grant that child American citizenship automatically. Wow. If that concept is not there, adoption will not be done. Because that child now has been born by an American father. So that is a condition that when they tell you that the president of America, ask them, give me the consent of America that my Kenyan child is going to be given citizenship there. If you are bringing an American here, lady, and she has a child, you want to adopt that child, make sure the Attorney General gives you a consent that once that child comes in, that child will become a Kenyan citizen. That child will contest to be a president of this country. That child will vote the rights of a citizen. My brother, have I answered you? Tell her, pole, Omari ametuma pole. Hii sitasuluhisha. It was one of the matters that went to court for a member of parliament, I think for Dagoretti or Westlands. He wanted to return. You know that story. It was all over, and the court said, "Mtoto ulizaa." Sometimes the law is bad, but Omari, I'm a mortuary attendant. I'll tell you the law as it is. Any other issue? You don't want me to leave? Okay, fine. Give him the mic.
Good evening.
Good evening.
In the matter of shareholding in a company, and then one of the directors happens to die, and then my wife is a beneficiary, like she's jobless or she's a housewife. Are the other directors compelled to take care of her?
Thank you. Today, I'm in the holy ground. What is SDH? It has its own rules and regulations binding all members who profess the faith of SDH. True. Our neighbor there, the next church, has his own rules. A company has his own rules called articles and memoranda of association. It will say how the property of the deceased shareholder will be done. So if your lawyer is bright, he'll ask you that question. When you die, how do you want a company to deal with your property? My good brother, some directors will ask you, okay, are you mad? Are you thinking I'm going to die tomorrow? Who told you I'm going to die? Many of those articles and memorandums have no clause on how to deal with that. So simple advice. Similar like this. Let us manage our life. Let us manage our properties when we are alive and when we are dead. If we leave it to the world to decide, then that is the issue that you see somebody dies and he's kept in court, in mortuary, because of a matter in the court of appeal. The body was stopped. It is now 1 year, 8 months. The Mzee is in mortuary. The longest case in court of a dead body was 7 years. It was concluded, I think, some 4 or 5 months ago. Let us manage ourselves. My message to every member of Oasis Church present and watching live from the church channel or from Port Helicopter News is that it is now on your hands. You know the law. Manage issues. Don't leave people to sort your issues unless they are sorting an emergency. Death is not an emergency. Marriage and children are not an emergency. They are planned for. They are long-term projects. Buying land is not an emergency. All these things, you are in control. Remove emotions, remove stereotypes, remove gossip, follow the law. The law is available. Even if you get on you check all those laws nowadays, they are on the internet. You are able to see. And the language of the law changed from that very complicated language to simple English for anybody to see the law. Thank you. Yes, my good sister.
Thank you. The second wife comes. And when she comes, she finds out that they had already subdivided land amongst his inherited land amongst the children of the first wife. They say, and after some time now she claims she also needs a share. Her sons also needs to get peace from the same land. But when she came, the land was already subdivided. Does that work?
Mzee must be married under customary law, because that is the only one that allows him to have 2 wives.
The first wife is wedded, the second one just stays.
There is no second wife. That is a concubine. She's called a concubine. Once you have a marriage certificate, you have no capacity to marry another wife. But you can be doing your adultery, you can be doing anything, but you have no capacity, no, to have another wife. Concubines come. Concubines cannot fight for rights within a marriage. But concubines will inherit when Mzee dies. How they will inherit is because Mzee is taking care of them. Mzee is taking care of his children. At death, the property that Mzee gave when he was alive is not available for succession. If I gave my children property and the title deed is in their name, when I die, those properties are not available for a discussion. What is available is what is in my name. So those ones of you here who have been given properties by your parents, make sure the properties are transferred to your name. If they still remain in the name of your father and he dies, that property is available for succession. Being given property is when does property become yours. This is what you call gifts. A gift becomes a gift when I give it to you. Giving to you for a property is a title deed. If I told you that is your house, there's nothing like that. Unless I'm making a will and I must die within 3 months. So for property, if anybody has given you property, na wewe wacha kukaa. Unangoja mzee alipe pesa transfer. Wewe chukua pesa loan, transfer that property to you. Because you have not bought it. And if your father, you will not pay stamp duty because it is a gift from a father or from a mother to a child. I hope my good sister have answered you that. Yes, my sister.
I just wanted clarification on the issue of adoption. Now that they're getting birth certificates, what details go onto the birth certificate? Say, for example, date of birth. Is it the date that they were born or now this adoption date?
The date they were born. The child cannot be born when already is born. The other details remain. What changes is the father and the mother. Are we together? I forgot, you have reminded me. There is what we call kinship adoption. This is where your sister dies. Na ameacha mtoto mdogo. Hata mjui who is the father of that child. So, wazee kule kwa mazishi unasikia wanasema sisi tumesema wapi ile kijana mkubwa ambaye kwa hii familia unasimamishwa. Naambiwa sasa wewe ndio kijana umeachwa kwa hii familia. Na huu mtoto sasa ni wako. Weka yeye kwa tuktuk yako, enda Nairobi, you take care of this child. This child, your wife wants that child to be adopted. There's what we call kinship adoption. Adoption within the family. It is so simple, it is not complicated. You only need to show this child, the mother was my sister. She died. I'm the one paying school fees. I'm the one feeding this child. We want now this child to remain in the family instead of going to the streets. The court says, now you become the father and you become the mother. Within the family, where it is complicated, because it is adoption was used to traffic children out of the country for selling for commercial purposes. But when it is within the family, the chief writes the letter, the villagers write the letter, the church knows, the church writes the letter, and says we know the mother of this child, so we know this one is the sister or this one is the brother. We have no objection. In the best interest of the child can be adopted. I hope.
So they will still, in that case, they still retain their creation factor. Yeah.
No. The dead parent is no longer there. You now become the parent of that child. You become. But if you want, because kinship, some people say there are two ways. You either adopt or you go to court for a guardianship order. You say, me, I don't want to take my sister's kid, but allow me to be the guardian with my husband for the purpose of putting this kid in my medical scheme, for the purpose of paying school fees, for the purpose of this thing, but the kid grows as a kid of these people. Very many of the kids you have, I know very many of Gen Zs will not educate anybody. People like us grew up in relatives' homes. That arrangement is called foster care. You have been called to alliance, eh? Kuna auntie yako ako Nairobi. Unaenda unakaa kwa mko. Unasoma, unamaliza. Unatafuta kazi. Ukipata kazi ndio unaenda kwako. People think that wewe ni mtoto wa Omari. Because they saw you there, grow there, but later, now during graduation, is when you are really biological father anatolewa gishaki, and mama nasema these are my biological parents. So those arrangements are there.
Yes. Excuse. There is a question that has come through. The scenario is, as I will narrate. The woman is married to a community that practices wife inheritance. And unfortunately, the husband has passed on. And she's being pressured to be inherited to a very great extent. And this is the question. Can she doesn't want to be inherited. So can she leave the children in their paternal home, where Baba Yao, and she shuts up? And if so, what are the consequences?
Wife inheritance is a criminal offense in this country. If it is forced, it is a criminal offense. I'll get the provisions from court helicopter. I'll do that analysis later next week. One, marriage is by consent. I said this, the party being married must consent. The party being inherited must consent. If she withdraws consent, how many kids are here? I might be accused to have mentioned some hard things. Any kid around between age 10, 11, 12, 13, 14? Leave these ones here. In the offense of rape, I'm going to the offense of rape. Consent is given, and consent can be withdrawn at any time. And once that consent has been withdrawn, it becomes an offense of rape. That is the law. Inheritance, if consent is withdrawn at any time, it becomes a criminal offense. The question, and this is why I want to ask, who is the candidate for wife inheritance? A woman who has no job. A woman who has no income. A woman who is desperate. So, as a practitioner of law, I must be very careful. If she consults me, the first thing I'll ask her, who was supporting you? And how are you going to support yourself? Make a practical decision. This SDA lady is here. The SDA church has insisted on the values of education. It has not told any follower of the SDA doctrine not to take their kids to school. The reason is that the theology and the doctrine of the SDA and other churches must look at the development theory of a human being. Education provides for development, self-sustainability. So that is why we are fighting to educate kids. 2, what about the children? The children are not the children of the community. I am a Kisi. My wife is being supported by me 100%. I die. We have 3 children. Then my brothers and my sisters have no responsibility to educate my children. The estate of Omari will educate the children. So the wife who is being told to be inherited needs to walk to Omari so that we go to court and say Omari's children are this, the wife died, and because the wife died, the children must get inheritance from the estate. It is not in the village, and get this message clear. When you are done, men, I wish the women close their ears, but they can't, because the mouth closes, the nostrils are open, the eyes can close, the ears are permanently open to listen and hear. God had a reason for that. Listen this. Your property is a property of your wife or your children. When you as an SDA, you are going to dispossess a widow, ask yourself, when you are dead and your children can't go to school because your brothers and your sisters have dispossessed your wife, reverse the roles. It is a wake-up call to our men. Don't dispossess widows, because the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, is the God of who? The widows and the orphans. It is religious. It is SDA doctrine. It is theological. And it is legal. So tell her she has no business being inherited. She has a business of coming to me. We'll get our contact. We sue the estate. We do succession. Get all the properties in her name and her children. That is what the Constitution says. The dignity of a person must be protected when alive, when dead, when faced as a widow or as a...
Amen. Amen.
If I hand over this gadget to those who gave it to me, I'll be ready to be taken to court if I didn't do what I was expected to do, but I believe I've done what I've been expected to do. It is a fantastic approach to bring law into church, to bring professionals to church. We see a new dimension on empowering those who come to church. I'll be available anytime. More than that, I do free advice, legal advice on these guys. These guys, at one time I was a lecturer. I decided I became busy and stopped with teaching. So people have always asked me, I used to come to court. I used to run a program on KTN called Elewa Sheria for free. So these people called Court Helicopter came to me and told me, Saturday and Sunday, why don't you teach the people the law? So every Saturday, every Sunday, I do 2 to 3 episodes of the law, all types of law. You can learn it there for free, so that Section 7 of the evidence of the law says, ignorance of the law is no defense for it. You cannot say, me I didn't know. Today, Oasis Church has brought it to you. Today, with the support of God, may the message that I've delivered to the Oasis Church, live sit here, those live following, those who will follow this recording, make a different change in life, that your destiny is in your hands and the laws are available for you to make an informed decision on how the life will be impacted. Thank you, and thank you very much. Asante.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you so much for hearing. You think it's the free offer of teaching, right? I think all of us have learned something, and a lot. So the husbands and the men, you have heard what you need to do, and for the ladies as well. But for the men, let us not be women eaters. It's a very bad thing for a man to be associated with that. So let's try to avoid that and work hard and be able to provide for family. So thank you so much for here. We appreciate your time, even for coming. I'll invite maybe Lydia. Do you have something you want to say before we can conclude? So let's applaud the singles. They have done a good job, right? Taking Wakil from wherever they go, try a good job. Thank you so much. You look like you don't want to say anything. So that's good. So we come to the end of our session now. And the Rains are telling us time to close. It's 5:30. So we will do one song while standing up. And then from there we can have the last word of prayer. And we have the cards for Danstan Omari and Associate Advocate. So you can see me, I can give you a copy. There's something that Andrew says, that's, you know the importance of pastors once you need them. Eh? Yes. Now you know the importance of law once you need it. So when you have an opportunity to find out, you've been told ignorance is not defense in court. So it's a chance to learn, find more, research more, and then with that you'll be more empowered. I want us to sing this song 652, stanza 1, probably and chorus, or we can sing all of it. Still Sabbath, 652. There's beauty around. Love at home. It's about family. So 652. I know the pianist is not there. You can project it. We have it there. There is beauty all around. We go. There is beauty all around when there's love at home. There is joy in every sound when there's love at home. Peace and plenty here abide, smiling fair on every side. Time the soft sweet night, when there's love at home, love at home, love at home. Time the soft sweet night, when there's love at home. Kindly heaven smiles above, when there's love at home. All the earth is filled with love, when there's love at home. Sweet as seeds are blue and bright are wings for us to shine. Oh, there's one who smiles on high, when there's love at home. Love at home, love at home. Time the soft sweet midnight, when there's love at home. Jesus, make me holy thine, then there's love at home. May the sacrifice be mine,
Then there's love at home, safe free from all harm and rest, with no sinful care distress. Through thy tender mercy bless, when there's love at home, love at home, love at home. Time of softly sweetly cry, when there's love at home. We do the closing prayer.